Doesn't like doing things on the run. Welcome everybody, and thank you for joining us this morning on this chilly day that reminds us of fall. And the mayor just told us we're going to have a mild and long fall, so that I do like that season, but you know, it was a little early for me. We are going to hear later from FanSaves, and I just kind of wanted to give you an idea of why we brought FanSaves on for this networking breakfast. We're changing for anybody who's been a member of the chamber. We've had a M2M, which is a member-to-member program, for a very long time. And we were looking for a new way to kind of infuse some more vitality into it, and also be able to offer more promotion for our businesses, including a way to actually get out to the public through the same application and offer special discounts through it. So FanSaves allows us to do that. So if you already have an M2M offering, we are going to move that over for you unless you don't want us to, and then you can contact Jennifer. We're trying to make it as simple as possible. And then if you want to offer something out to the public or some new offering, we'll be contacting you about that too. But today was a really good way just to get out what is happening with that program and you know, just kind of talk through and allow some questions. We're going to turn it over to Mayor Taylor shortly to give us an update. And before we do that, Abdus, are you on the line?
I saw Abdus.
There you are.
There he is.
I'm going to ask Abdus to give us an update. There's been some changes into some of the government programs recently, so I just want to make sure that everyone is aware of that. Abdus, if you can take over on that front.
Sure. So SEBA, for those who aren't aware, SEBA has been expanded. The eligibility criteria has been expanded, and the program is being extended past its original deadline. SUS has been moved towards a two-tiered structure. If you are now seeing revenue, you are shifted towards a lower tier. Oh, sorry, give me a second. A lot of the programs, as they are, may be transitioned to something entirely different. The speech from the throne is set to come out on October 23rd. Sorry, September 23rd, October 23rd. I'm losing all track of time. And that will dictate both how the programs continue operating as we move into towards the winter season. From what we've heard, government is fully aware that industry, and particularly certain sectors, do require long-term financing. So I don't want to say too much, because in a week's time, some of these programs will look different. But I can assure you that if you are still using SUS, or you still need SUS, and I've had conversations with many of you around that, from what we've heard, that is not going away. I know, or I believe Mayor Taylor will touch on this, but I've had a couple of comments and a couple of emails regarding the second wave and the surge in numbers and what we've heard. We've been proactive from day one. We've been communicating everything we know. At this time, we know as much as you do. From our conversations at the provincial level, we know the Premier is determined to ensure economic recovery. That's the stage that we're in right now. It's unfortunate what's happening with the second wave, but we've made it clear that the new approach to handling COVID, which and I believe Minister Elliott indicated that is going to be released sometime this week, ideally, will take into consideration the business impact. Now, the first 3 stages that were rolled out, a lot of that was just to stamp down the numbers. We've had time to examine how to approach this more efficiently. If the province does take an approach we've pushed, we've advocated that the business impact needs to be part of that consideration. And as far as whether York Region will be in reverting back to second stage, again, being completely transparent here, I don't know, but the Premier again has indicated that he is looking at a regional based approach. A lot of the numbers are spiking within Peel and Toronto, so fingers crossed. I will turn it over back to you, Tracy.
Abdus, can I just ask a question? Because I am seeing some new emails coming in about are we going to go into a second lockdown? And one of the questions that I'm hearing is, as a business owner, how can I actively raise my voice? Like, I know the Chamber's doing that for me, but how can I help? What do you recommend? Reaching still out to their MPPs and their MPs? I know they're inundated as well, so I kind of want to, you know, couch that. I know everybody's voice is welcome, and you know, we're trying to raise those voices, but as a business, an individual business, is there anything you would recommend?
Yeah, I think one of the best things that we saw when we were in second stage was a lot of business owners are looking at their operations and starting to map out what a safe environment would be to continue operating that would factor in social distancing and a lot of the protocols that were recommended by the province. And some of those protocols were, a lot of those protocols were rolled out by WSIB sector by sector, and businesses had adopted that into their operations, and then they had communicated that to MPPs. If you have something like that in place, that's a great baseline, because I think the province would appreciate knowing and that the business community is being proactive on their part. Like, this is not on us. This is not on businesses. What's happening right now is very much as a result of social gathering. So if you have that, that's great. Use that in your communication with your when you are talking to an elected representative, particularly your MVP. If you don't have that, I would highly recommend that you develop that. I will put in a link for what WSIB had rolled out in the chat box. And then for what the Chamber does, a lot of our work is based on data. If you have, you know, I'm sure you have like records of what the impact was in stage 1, stage 2. Please send that to me. Send me, you know. I've connected with a lot of you during the early stages. If we are going back into this second wave and a possible shutdown, being able to communicate the impact and why it's necessary, businesses continue operating is key here, and the data really helps. So, long-winded answer, but I hope that clarifies something.
A question just came up, Abdus, so just before I turn it over, is there a level of government we should focus on? Provincial, federal, municipal, all of the above is coming from the chat box from Jennifer Walker, actually.
Well, I know the mayor is right here, so you can just direct everything towards him. Provincial for just communicating the process that you have in place and why it's necessary to continue operating. And then again, if you are still reliant on CEWS, CEBA, the emergency rent subsidy, communicating that to both the province, depending on the program, CEBA and CEWS are strictly, and then the rent, the Ontario Canada Emergency Rent program is through both the Canadian and federal government. So communicating the need for that continuation, should you or if you are still using it, should be directed at you.
Thank you. Just quickly, I would like to welcome two of our newest members, Carlo from Fine Wine Cellar Design and Eileen and Jeffrey from Tessier Design. I know it's really hard times right now, and we love welcoming new members who have seen the value in the Chamber. And I'd also like to thank all of you who have renewed your memberships, because we couldn't do all of the things we do on advocacy and on any of our programs without you, our corporate and community partners who've stood by us through these times. I know our businesses are are challenged, and so are we without our events and some of those things. So your support through this and all of the wonderful participation we've had from everybody, I just wanted to say a heartfelt thanks. And now I will turn it over to Mayor Taylor to give us an update. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Glad to be here. I've only got about 15-20 minutes, so I apologize. I'll try to be maybe briefer in my comments and leave time for some questions. But basically, let's start with this. Let's start with some good news, which is that the Newmarket and York region numbers are still pretty good. Newmarket's got, I think, 4 or 5 active cases, 1 hospitalized. Those are very good numbers, even compared to the rest of the region. Most of the active cases are in the south of the region. And so we're still holding up pretty well here. But these are early days in what appears to be a second wave. And I think we all know. So when I was asked to come on, I think the framing part was, let's talk a little bit about what it means to have a pause in stage 3. Well, I think when the pause was announced, it was like, okay. And now it seems to be okay. Well, it makes some sense because things are, the numbers are moving quite rapidly. I think I'll let people know, but generally speaking, the reproductive rate is going up. That's an important one to watch, not just the raw numbers. Even in York region, it's at about 1.18, I think. Yeah, so 1.2. So meaning for every case, there's 1.2 cases that come out of it. Anytime you're above 1, that's a bad trend line, right? So that's even under good circumstances. And we know that the numbers in the province appear, and I want to say appear, but I'm pretty sure it will prove to continue this way, but appear to be going up and somewhat quickly. So, we're in stage 3. The focus is still on trying to remain open and for services and business, et cetera. But that's going to require a lot of work, I think, is the best way to put it. I said when it was at the high 100s, I said to somebody, I said, look, it's going over 300. The question is, how far is it going? You'll recall the peak in Ontario was around 650, I want to say. And it was up in those 5s and 6s for a number of weeks there. Now I'm going to speculate for what it's worth. I think if we stay under that 500 mark or even around 600, I know that sounds like a lot when we're only at just crossing 3, but school's just getting back in, things are happening quickly. That's problematic to get those numbers, but we are in a much better position than we were when those numbers first arrived. When you think about it, right? The hospitals were still ramping up. They were still trying to understand their capacity, what they had in terms of PPE, what they had in terms of ventilators. So a big focus at the beginning on hospital readiness. Testing really wasn't up and running. Contact tracing was at its early stages. And so we're in a much better position right now to handle the kind of numbers we had before. Now, that doesn't mean we want them, and we hope we don't get anywhere near there. But I guess that's my way of saying to a business community, I remain optimistic that even with a second phase, if we can keep it below the peak numbers, that we won't see a great deal of effect on business continuity. That's my hope, and that's my belief. I think, Abdus is right that the signals we're hearing of the provinces that they want to perhaps this time around, and because we're able to this time around, because we're better positioned, put a greater emphasis on business impacts. But I will say this, it's going to take a lot of work. And right now, I'm not sure we're doing the work. So when you say, who should we advocate to? Should it be the municipal government, the provincial or federal government? I'd add one to that list, and that's your fellow neighbors and your fellow business people, because the governments aren't dying to roll back to phase 2. Just the opposite. We're dying to not do that. But if the numbers go to 800, 900, or even 600, 700, 800, you can advocate, but we're getting to the point where we have a little choice. We've got to put health and safety first. We've got to make sure that it doesn't lead to a full shutdown. And so there's pressure put on government to make sure at some point that you just simply have to bite the bullet. So it sounds like a cliche, but this really, and I've said this all along, this lies more in our hands than in the hands of the government. What's going to happen a month from now or 3 weeks from now? So I think we all need to, and I include myself in that, we all need to reevaluate what we're doing, look at where we've let ourselves slip a little and tighten up. And Is everybody going to do that? No. If enough of us do it, I think we can, we can limit that impact. So, I won't beat that drum too much. I think we all know it, but I do think the conversation in the community needs to rise about that, neighbor to neighbor, newspaper articles, Facebook, that if everybody just tightens up another 10 or 15%, gets back to a bit of a stricter protocol, and some of you are probably still there, but certainly I think we all know that overall that's not the case. And so, I'm reevaluating everything I do, and I think we all need to do that a little bit in face of these numbers. So the long and the short of it is we're looking at all this. Here's what I think too, is that what government, I think, will do in the face of a potentially rising phase 2, what I hope we will do at the region, at the municipal level, is look at the areas where, and there are areas where we can take actions and restrictions even that will hope to keep the numbers down, but that don't have a major or even much of a business impact. So I think we can be more selective this time around. So I'll give you an example. The region, I raised at the last regional meeting, I asked our medical officer of health what he thought about the conversation in Toronto and John Tory, et cetera, about perhaps taking a more tighter stand than the provincial. And the provincial is asking us to do this, look at this regionally. So, should we have perhaps a tighter restriction of gatherings, groups, than they do, let's say, in Sudbury? His response, I thought, was an excellent one, and it was alluded to earlier, which is that, if we really target ourselves, the challenge we seem to be facing right now in the GTA is not really occurring in restaurants or bars. I mean, it is occurring, but it's not occurring writ large, because those are regulated areas. Those are places we can go into. In fact, I won't name names, but in Newmarket, we went into an establishment and placed a fine after non-compliance more than once. And so these are areas we can monitor, we can have public health go into, we can fine if necessary. And so by and large, what does that mean? That area is doing fairly well. Where's the problem? Actually, it seems to be everything is contextual to this moment. It could all change in a week or two. But at this moment, the bigger risk and the bigger threat from a public health perspective seems to be house parties, homes that are unmonitored, unsupervised, and you're getting 30, 50, 100 people in drinking, and that's where some of the outbreaks across the GTA are occurring. So we're contemplating, I'm supportive of, at least conceptually until I hear a full staff report, that we reduce the numbers, and we do have the ability to do that in York Region for internal house gatherings down to, from 50 down to 10. And the reason is because I think that's an area we can tighten up. We can have an impact on the numbers, and it has pretty much zero effect on the day-to-day business of any organization here, whether you're a not-for-profit, educational institution, a business, a restaurant. That doesn't impact you. So I think, and in fact, it might even benefit some businesses. So I think that's where we can be a little more selective in finding areas that we can be, if necessary, tighten up, be restrictive, but that aren't, that don't have that broader business impact, and only move to those areas if absolutely necessary. So I'll stop there and just say we'll be monitoring it. We're having conversations at the region. We're in contact, as always, with our provincial and federal counterparts. I still think everybody is hopeful that with right actions, we can keep these numbers relatively in line and not see major impacts on all of you. And if necessary, further steps will be taken, of course. We've got to protect the health and well-being of everybody, and even the economic well-being. Sometimes even short-term pain is better than long-term pain, but I still remain optimistic. And I think that the closeness we are to a vaccine also helps in terms of how we feel about the need to act, or to what level. And that seems to have some level of a reason for optimism there as well. So I think I'll stop there just to say that I'm hopeful that we can manage through a second wave, keep the numbers down to something similar or below the first wave, and see relatively little impact on the community and on the business community. So I'm open to questions if there are any. Otherwise,
somebody did ask about the size of indoor gatherings and making those smaller. So you did answer that question. Sorry, the train's going by. The other
I wouldn't, by the way, Tracy, just on that front, I wouldn't be surprised if you see direction even as early as a week from now at the regional level to reduce sizes of gatherings in private homes.
Yeah.
But avoiding having to take that step in terms of business and businesses.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's good news for businesses, but somebody else did raise the point that the kids are back in school and some of the class sizes are in their 20s and 30s, so there's still that impact. And
absolutely. And that's, that's what it's about. And people will say, oh, I have people say this, well, there seems to be a contradiction here somewhere. And it's like, look, and to be fair to the province and other levels, but particularly the province, you're not going to roll out measures like this across all kinds of areas of walks of life and different organizations and not have some contradictions in. If you're looking for perfect consistency, it's not going to exist. And if this gets a lot worse, we have to pick what our priorities are, because it's about reducing risk. So hopefully we don't get to the point where we're putting up restaurants and businesses and local retail against education. But that's part of what the process is sometimes, is prioritizing. But I think we're in a good place to avoid largely that kind of conversation again. But we don't know, right? Like we all watch enough international news to know we don't know where this could lead 3 weeks from now or a month from now. And again, that just goes back to the message about trying to make sure that we as a jurisdiction stay the course, better than perhaps some other jurisdictions we've seen, particularly to the south.
yeah, and I think that's fair. And I mean, for business to return to normal, we do need childcare. So, I mean, it does kind of walk together. I'm getting a lot of questions around the restaurants. So the extension of the patio season and what else can we do to help them? So
so we've had conversations this week. We will be working with. We're not going to announce a giant extension of patio seasons, but we'll work with anybody who wants to speak to us about extending the patio season, and we'll be able to do that. We just need to look at each one individually. Some are different, and some people are saying, there's other considerations, and leave it to the business community who's the expert. But some people were talking about putting up tents and heaters. Well, there's complications there. There's snow loading. There's other things if we got into that situation. So people will have to have some conversations, but our staff are ready for those conversations and certainly want to enable as much as we can. I'll jump off of that, Tracy, and just mention that also a number of people, and that might be coming up in that industry, have been asking about next year already. And I would say that we're preparing for that. I think there's a reasonable chance that there's going to be a need to support that industry through a more liberal patio program in the spring. We can't commit to it yet, but we're definitely exploring it. We need to understand from the province where they think they're going to be at that time and which rules would apply and not apply. But we're also looking at that potentiality.
From a perspective this year with the extension of the patios, was it a success? Have you had feedback from like either the people in town or the businesses themselves in terms of how that worked? Because I know we did make some concessions as a community in terms of sidewalks and parking, and I'm just wondering if overall you had an impression at this time.
Yeah, the impression I've had is it was a big success. I've heard almost no negative feedback, a lot of positive feedback. I think there's some businesses with patios that are feel like that was integral, not the only thing, but integral to their getting through this so far. And certainly there was some controversy around parking, sidewalks. The town invested in a lot of it to support it. And we did things like lower the speed limit in downtown on Main Street. The patios, we helped to install a lot of them. And I think it was the right investment to make. And, we waived a lot of sign fees across town for people as well. I'm trying to do what we can, but always open to conversations and suggestions. So anybody has more ideas, but what I've heard is it was quite a success.
I am hearing a question, and I'm seeing a question, sorry, that's about masking, but I don't think that's a local jurisdiction.
Hello.
Yeah, that is local, actually.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was regional. Sorry, additional
regional,
rules.
yeah, that's.
Yeah, is there additional rules and regulations on wearing masks for customers or business operators other than the current bylaws? Not that I'm aware of. Did you?
No, all the if you're looking for details and even some sort of good Q&As to help you understand exactly what they are, they can be found on the region's website on the COVID section, york.ca/COVID-19. But no, that nothing's changed there, except we recently added in the requirement for common spaces in condos and rental buildings, et cetera. That was not part of the original part, but other than that, it's the original set of guidelines and rules plus that.
And then just a shout out from one of our restaurant owners, Jennifer McLaughlin, on thank you to the town for the amazing support and success. So thought I would call that one out in case you didn't see it there.
That's great to hear. I mean, I just, I want to say this, I mean, again, to not just the restaurants, we talk a lot about them, but also to the retail people, to all the businesses. It's so difficult. We can only imagine, and we're trying to do what we can. We don't have all the tools at other levels of government, but we're trying to do everything we can. And again, any ideas, email me. Happy to chat about anything going forward. Because I think, I think we all know there's still a lot of territory in front of us to get through before we get to the finish line, whatever that looks like.
Mayor Taylor, just one last question. I mean, we are seeing a lot of the spike being in the younger people from the 19 to 34 or 19 to 40. It depends what you're reading. Any thoughts on what we can do as a group, as a community, to help kind of offset that, other than the usual warnings? But we all know we can only do
I'm certainly not going to stray into the territory of giving anybody advice on how to talk to their teenagers, but beyond that, I think there are things we can do. I think the house parties often are related to younger folk, so we can take some steps at the region to limit those gatherings and then police them. We will probably be laying some fines and charges from this weekend in Newmarket from at least one of two significant house parties. Disturbing to get the reports on these. I get them sent to me, and to see that there's 100+ people crammed into a house late at night and spilling on the lawns. And I get it. I get it. I was young, and you've been cooped up, and you want to, do things, but it's trying to get through that. So we'll have to take measures. We've had some gatherings in parking lots that originally we were trying to say, hey, give people some room there, and then we find out they're not even trying once they get to the parking lot. It's just a space, and then it's also a lot of unsafe practices. We'll try to be a little firmer in some of those areas where we think there's a public health risk. The conversations need to take place. What we really need is some leaders in those age groups to start to speak peer-to-peer at the schools, et cetera. So perhaps one of the answers is, and I'm thinking about on the go, but maybe I can reach out to, and I'm sure they're already looking at it, but the educational institutions can maybe create some peer-to-peer education and some awareness raising to try to, you can only penetrate so far in the thinking, but it makes a difference. This is risk mitigation. This isn't about, if you can't succeed completely, don't bother. I mean, if you can influence that age group, even 10% or 20% of them to think a little differently, that's meaningful when you're talking about risk mitigation. So, every little bit matters.
Yeah, and I know MP Van Bynen was putting together a youth council, so I wonder if there's something there that could be
yes,
twinned on. So does anyone else have any questions for Mayor Taylor? Otherwise, I will move along.
Anyway, yeah, the only other thing I'd say is in terms of the town, we're trying to work with all the sports organizations to try to provide offerings for young people in particular. It is difficult. There's a lot of regulations and rules which are necessary about how many people you can have anywhere, and then all the sports organizations have their own rules, but we're trying to do as much as we can in that area, knowing that's important too. Certainly I just want everybody to know that we're continuing to focus heavily. In fact, that's where I'm jumping to now, but on business continuity to make sure that the town is moving forward, that we've got a strong local economy that you can succeed in, so that we're not just dropping everything and focusing on COVID. We're trying to keep the town moving forward so that as we come out of this, this continues to be not only a great place to live, but a great place to do business.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor, and that's our focus as well. Then I really appreciate hearing that.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Thanks.
Great. I will now call on Pat Lusink from Best Western Voyageur Place, the general manager. Best Western has been a great supporter and has allowed us to keep going on some of our calls like this. And I just asked Pat to introduce the next section.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for my 2 minutes to talk about Best Western, and then I will introduce our guest speaker today. I just wanted to say to everyone that Best Western Voyage and Place Hotel has been open since the beginning, and we've certainly had our challenges, but today I just want to focus on a few positive notes. We recently received the TripAdvisor's Traveler's Choice Award for 2020, which means that we are in the top 10%, thank you, Tracy, that we are in the top 10% of hotels worldwide based on travelers' reviews. So that's a nice little feather in our cap. We recently bought a fogging machine. So this can just add another layer of disinfection to our processes here, which is really cool, because when you spray the virus with the chemical with this fogging machine, the kill time is like 10 to 15 minutes. So after 10 to 15 minutes, we can enter the room and then clean the room and know that we have that extra layer of protection. And just also wanted to say the Buttery opened up at the beginning of August. That's the restaurant that has been here for 32 years, and they are just off the lobby. And they are just serving breakfast and lunch, but they've changed their hours, so they're open a little earlier now. They're open at 6:30 from Monday to Friday until 2 o'clock. And then on the weekends, I believe they open at 7. So that's enough about Best Western. Please come and visit. If anybody wants a tour of the hotel, by all means, just call me, and I would love to set up an appointment to show you our rooms and our meeting spaces here at the hotel. So it is my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker today. And as Tracy said, the company is called FanSaves. And today we have Shannon Ferguson joining us. She is a co-founder and CEO. And she and her and the other co-founder, Chris McCarthy, founded FanSaves in 2017 while managing the marketing and sales of 2 minor professional hockey teams. Since then, FanSaves has consistently grown their Canadian tech startup and are currently helping over 40 organizations and more than 400 businesses to help them increase activation and gather important data. They have both relied on their competitive sports background, teamwork, and dedication to grow their business into verticals, helping teams, organizations, and member organizations like the Chambers of Commerce. So welcome, Shannon from FanSaves.
Thank you so much, Pat, and thank you to the Newmarket Chamber for having us today. We are so excited, and I think it really segues well from that whole COVID talk about businesses and everything. And at FanSaves, you might remember us. We actually did the FanSaves Helps gift certificate program, so we got to know a lot of your businesses. And it was so great to be able to help. And now as we transition back into the reopening of businesses, we want to make sure that, we're still here for you. And with our digital platform, we're helping your member-to-member discount program. So what I'm going to do really quickly is share my screen. So I'll just go over a couple of things so you guys know the basics of FanSaves, and then I'll just show you the website real quick, and then the form how to get your business on. So I will begin. Can everyone see my screen? All right, perfect. So as Pat mentioned, we are digitalizing your member-to-member discount program, and we're super excited to be able to help not only members receive discounts and deals, but also members of the Newmarket Chamber to offer those deals. The best part about FanSaves is that you can now offer deals to other members, but you can also offer these deals to the public. So FanSaves is really working with you to help bring more people into your business, bring more awareness to who you are, and help you at the end of the day make more sales. So you might remember the old chamber rewards card, or how the deals for lots of chambers are on their website. Newmarket is fortunately super innovative and joined up with FanSaves, so we're kicking that outdated card system, changing it up a bit, and really digitalizing that so that other members and your own deals are in people's hands, in their pockets, and much more accessible. So we're a mobile platform. As you probably already know, we give people discounts and deals from members from not only just local chambers of commerce, but as Pat said, from over 40 organizations across North America and growing. So at the end of the day, what FanSaves is really doing is helping you as chamber members drive more people into your store. Whenever they redeem a deal, you're gaining that valuable customer data so you know who walks through your door, and you're able to track your return on investment. So how does it work? So we have an app, and we also have a website, which is very accessible as well. But for the app, users can download the app. It's completely free. Then they can follow the Newmarket Chamber. Then they can scroll through the Newmarket Chamber's discounts and deals, and then they redeem the deal at the point of purchase. And this is the point I really want to talk about how easy it is. So if you're a member offering a deal, it's super, super easy for this, for you to be on FanSaves. There is no connecting to anything. A user simply comes in, they can only redeem their deal when they are in your store. It's all geolocation, so it's geo-fenced. If they're at home and they press redeem deal, they cannot redeem the deal. So once they walk into your store, they can then press redeem, and all they have to do is turn their phone. They show their server, their cashier, they show you as the business owner, and it has a timestamp on it, so you can see the exact time. It says deal redeemed, and once they do that, you verify it, and then you are able to apply that deal through, whether it's your own POS system. Even if it's still a little bit old school and you use paper receipts, we made it very accessible for any type of business to be able to benefit. And the other great part about that is while it says deal redeemed with an overlay, that shows up at the moment that someone redeems, and you actually as a business owner get to define when someone can redeem again. So whether it's a one-time use only, or whether it's once a week, once a month, whatever works for you, you're able to define that. So only in that amount of time, after that amount of time passes, will the deal be able to be redeemed again. We also have a website, which I will touch on as well, which works similar, but people for in-store deals do still have to download the app. So this is the website. I will take you on a little journey, an actual screen share of it in a second, but the website is really exciting because as business owners, as members of the Newmarket Chamber, you can actually share the link from your deal on your website, on your social media. You can use FanSaves to your advantage to attract more people into your store and promote your deal. So this is really great. There's a great search function as well. So if people are looking for, in this case, say pizza, and you own a pizza place, you will come up and be able to be filtered out. So it's very exciting. And then the meat and potatoes of FanSaves, of course, is our dashboard and the data that's collected. So if you think back to the card system, or just putting deals online, when someone would come in to your store and redeem their deal, you really had no way of knowing who that person is, where they're from. So what FanSaves really does is every time a deal is redeemed, it tracks that person. You don't get their name or their email address, so it is still very secure and private, but you get to see their gender, you get to see their age, and you also get to see a little bit further on this screen isn't showing, you also get to see where they're from. So this is really important for those public deals I mentioned, because you can start seeing if these deals are, if people are coming from Toronto, or maybe someone is visiting from Ottawa, you can actually see who your deal is bringing into your store, which is really cool and really exciting, and allows you to also maneuver your marketing strategy around that data. So I do want to really quickly, I'm going to show you guys the website as well. So the great part is on FanSaves, as we mentioned, there's a ton of organizations. So people can scroll through and they can actually come to the Newmarket Chamber of Commerce page. So as a member, you can also share this page this is similar to, say, a Facebook or Instagram page. But this one, instead of just showing pictures or other content, it's specifically showing the members and their discounts and deals. So you can scroll through these. You can scroll through the deals. You'll see lots of awesome Newmarket Chamber members already offering deals. And I do want to talk about exclusive deals really quickly. So exclusive deals are what are just are only available to other members. So a public person, if I was visiting Newmarket, I wouldn't have access to an exclusive deal because it's only chamber members that have these. So we suggest that these deals are a little bit better, a little bit more incentivizing, because you're giving your other members, you know, that better discount or deal. And then to unlock it, you will have received an email from the lovely people at the Newmarket Chamber. You would have already received an email, so check your email if you haven't received it. So basically, I've already unlocked the Newmarket deals because I love Newmarket so much. So what would happen is it just pops up either on your phone or on the website. It tells you to put your code in to unlock, and when you unlock it once, it unlocks everything forever, unless you are no longer a chamber member. So you don't have to unlock deals individually, which is really great.
Shannon, just real quick, I think you're frozen on your PowerPoint. We didn't end up going to your website there, just FYI.
Shoot. Thank you. Okay, I'm going, sorry about that.
That's okay.
I'm going to stop sharing and reshare. Sorry about that, everyone. Technology, right? All right. So this is actually what I was looking at, what you couldn't see. So this is what I was saying was, the Newmarket Chamber has a FanSaves page. So now it probably makes more sense if you were wondering. So this is what the Newmarket Chamber page looks like. So there's two different tabs, the public deals and the exclusive deals. You can already see so many great businesses on here as mentioned. So this is when I was talking about the exclusive deals, what I was looking at. So as mentioned, you would only have to, this would actually say unlock. When you unlock and you put your chamber code in, it unlocks everything. So as I mentioned, you don't have to go back and unlock each deal that you'd like to use. And then lastly, I just wanted to go over how easy it is for you guys to sign up. The Newmarket Chamber would have sent you a link. If you haven't, I'm sure they will again, or we can as well. You just simply click on this link, and then you'll be brought to this online submission form. All you have to do is fill out your contact information, then your first deal, so public deal if you choose, but we definitely suggest you do an exclusive deal either way for other chamber members. So you can put that in, fill it out with your deal, your terms and conditions, how often you'd like someone to redeem it. That's what I was talking about earlier. The method of redemption is, so in store, again, that deal, if you choose in store, that deal can only be redeemed in your physical location. We can also, if ever this pandemic, hits again or anything, and you have to close your store, don't hesitate to reach out. We are always here to help switch you over to online. We saw that happening during the darkest days of COVID. So when you choose in store, just remember that deal can only be redeemed in your physical location. But if you choose online, it can be redeemed through your website. So the code that you offer would, you'd have to update your Shopify store or your e-commerce store. If you don't have an e-commerce store and you don't have a physical location, it's totally okay. You can just indicate that you would like it to be redeemed by email or phone. That is totally perfect as well. You'll still click online for this, and you'll still give us a code. Say that code is Newmarket 20 for 20%. So if someone, instead of putting it onto your website, would actually just call you or email you with that code, and then you can offer that deal. So then you just fill out your name. You can sign everything right here. upload any pictures. If you have a business logo, we definitely, you can upload that. And then you can upload a deal specific photo as well. If you don't have one, it's okay. Don't stress. We've got you. It does have a little bit of a criteria here. And we do ask that you upload a deal specific photo so that people really know and it can what you are offering, and that it will attract more people in. So I wanted to that's the long and short of FanSaves, but I wanted to see if anyone had any questions for me.
Thanks, Shannon. I'm just going to chime in here because a few people did ask about the code. So probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, an email would have gone out. But if you haven't got it, just send me a quick email, jennifer@newmarketchamber.ca. I know a few of you have already asked, and I'll resend the code to you today. And then there's been a few people ask if they don't have any bricks and mortar, if they're strictly online, if you can just, reiterate that again. Maybe they're an online accounting service or something and they just want to offer a discount. How do they go about that?
Yeah, 100%. So if they're just an online store, then they can just check the online box, and then people from anywhere are able to redeem that. What happens, instead of having to go in the store and having it come up to say deal redeemed, whenever you press deal redeemed from your home and it's an online deal, it still comes up and says deal redeemed, but it also pops up with the website where you're going to go, as well as the code that you can copy and paste, and then you can click on that website and directly go to that business.
Can you do both? What if they're online and in store?
Yeah, so right now it's either one or the other. We are working on that because we hear that some people want that, but from most, like 95% of the businesses that we talk with, they were one or the other. And now with obviously COVID, we're trying to work with the businesses who might be one or might be both. So we are definitely hearing that. We are working on it. It's something that's in our pipeline. And yeah, so I just saw a deal pop up. Do you want me to talk to that? I saw someone ask if there's push notifications. So
right. Yeah,
there are push notifications, definitely. Specifically for the brick and mortar stores. So if you're walking or driving by a business within 100 meters and your push notifications are on, you will get a push notification. So you'll get reminded that there is a deal for you to use, which is really great because, we all get so busy. Sometimes we forget that we have access to these awesome deals and these awesome savings. So there are push notifications. You do have to have your location services turned on and your push notifications turned on. But that definitely exists to help remind you. And then I saw someone ask if you can offer multiple deals, and you most definitely can. So not only can you just offer a public deal and an exclusive deal, but if there are multiples in there, you can for sure. And we do suggest that your deals, we do see that the deals that are a bit more enticing are the ones that often get more data as well. So it's totally up to you. It's your business, whatever deal you want to do. And we are always here to bounce ideas off of as well.
Thank you so much, Shannon. And again, we just want to get a little bit of networking in off the back. So if there's any other questions, if any members, you can reach out to me. Again, I will get that code because a few people are already asking for it. And we already had a new fan come on just while you were talking. So, and that's another thing I just wanted to say to our members is, even if you don't have a deal yet, or you haven't figured it out, go and follow us as we're trying to build our fan base. So.
Become a fan of the Newmarket Chamber.
Yay, yay. So thank you, Shannon. And I'm going to, I guess, throw it to Tracy or back to Tyler because we're going to begin our little bit of networking just for the last 10 minutes or so.
Thanks so much. Have a great day.
Thanks, Shannon.
And Shannon, thank you for all you guys did to help us hit the ground running really quickly with those coupons for people when all of a sudden there was the shutdown and we enabled people to go quickly online for an e-commerce system. That was awesome. Thank you.
You're so welcome. And I'll just add in Newmarket sold the most gifts, Newmarket, like this, the Newmarket page sold the most gift certificates of anyone across Canada. So you should give yourselves a round of applause.
Yay. Great to hear. Tyler, can I